not good. This is not good. Damn.
It is May 4th, 2003. Sunday evening. Across Missouri, Kansas, and Tennessee, families are finishing dinner. Kids are doing homework. People are getting ready for the work week ahead. The sun is setting over the Great Plains, painting the sky in shades of orange and red. Beautiful, peaceful, ordinary. But meteorologists at the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma, are not admiring the sunset. They are staring at computer screens, showing something they have been dreading for days. The atmosphere over the central United States has become a loaded weapon, and in the next few hours, it is going to fire. Before this day ends, 79 tornadoes will touch down. 38 people will die. Entire towns will be erased from the map, and this is just one day, day 4, of what will become a 9-day siege that produces 363 tornadoes across 26 states. This is the story of the May 2003 tornado outbreak sequence. The 5th worst tornado outbreak in recorded American history. The costliest of the entire decade. 9 days when nature showed no mercy, and when exceptional forecasting saved countless lives. Our story doesn't begin on May 4th. It begins days earlier, when meteorologists first recognized what was coming. An upper-level trough had become anchored over the western United States. Normally, these weather systems move through in a day or two. This one wasn't moving. It was locked in place like a siege engine aimed at the heartland. Meanwhile, from the Gulf of Mexico, warm, moist air surged northward. Surface temperatures climbed into the 80s and the 90s. Dew points exceeded 70 degrees Fahrenheit. To put that in perspective, anything above 60 degrees Fahrenheit is considered humid. 70 degrees Fahrenheit is oppressive. But here's what made this outbreak extraordinary. Normally, a cold front sweeps down from Canada and breaks up these dangerous patterns. It clears the air, cools things down, and pushes the storms away. Not this time. No cold front came. Day after day, the pattern held. The atmosphere kept loading with energy. Forecasters watched with growing dread as the numbers climbed higher and higher. On April 30th, 4 days before the deadliest day, the Storm Prediction Center issued its first outlook mentioning a major outbreak from May 2nd to May 6th. Computer models 5 to 6 days out were already showing the danger. This kind of advance warning is almost rare. It would prove crucial. May 3rd. The outbreak begins quietly. 13 tornadoes scattered across Mississippi, Nebraska, South Dakota, and Texas. Nothing major. Just the first rumblings of what is coming. May 4th dawns warm and humid across Missouri and Kansas. At 8 a.m. Central Time, the Storm Prediction Center does something they rarely do. They issue a high-risk outlook. Not a moderate risk. Not a slight risk. High risk. The most serious designation they have. The forecast is explicit, long track, and violent tornadoes. At least a 25% probability that any given point in the risk area will experience a tornado within 25 miles. Let me give you the numbers that afternoon, because they are extraordinary. CAPE values, convective available potential energy, the fuel available for storms, ranged from 2,000 to 5,000 joules per kilogram. Anything over 2,500 is considered extreme. Wind shear, the change in wind speed and direction with height, reached 91 knots, which is 105 miles per hour. The jet stream winds at 35,000 feet were sometimes perpendicular to winds at the surface, and that creates rotation, which creates tornadoes. By late afternoon, supercells are firing up across Kansas and Missouri. Not just any thunderstorms. Supercells. Rotating. Organized. Deadly. At 6:45 in the evening, a tornado touches down east of Ritchie, Missouri. It is rated F3, with winds between 158 and 206 miles per hour. Within minutes, it is bearing down on Pierce City, a town of 1,400 people in Lawrence County. For decades, the National Guard Armory in Pierce City has served as the town's storm shelter. As the tornado approaches, dozens of residents flee there, seeking safety in the concrete building. J. Dale Taunton is at the door. He is holding it open, letting people in. "Get inside," he is telling them. "Hurry." The tornado hits the armory, and the building collapses. Dale Taunton dies holding that door open, but the people he let inside survive. His final act saved their lives. The tornado destroys 90% of Pierce City's historic downtown. More than 70 homes are gone. Every single home and business in town sustains some damage. Mayor Mark Peters had been inside the armory when it was hit. When he emerges into the aftermath, he sees a couple standing on Main Street, embracing each other, telling each other they have lost everything. The tornado continues northeast. It kills 2 people in a trailer park north of Monette. It kills a former police dispatcher in Marionville. Before it finally dissipates west of Springfield, it will have traveled 85 miles. 7 people dead along its path. Earlier that same evening, at 5:31 in the evening, another tornado touched down near Liberal, Missouri. This one will track farther than any other tornado of the entire outbreak, 83 miles. Later, National Weather Service meteorologist Doug Kramer would say with amazement that the tornado was on the ground for 86 miles. Now, we are not talking about intermittent jumping up and down. It was a solid tornado on the ground for 86 miles. Stockton, Missouri. Population 2,000. 350 structures demolished in the downtown area. 650 more with major damage. The tornado passes just north of the Cedar County Courthouse, widening to 3/4 of a mile. It carves through the city park like a circular saw. 3 people die in Stockton. Wanda Cassell is one of the survivors, but she loses her husband. She will later recall that she was able to get to the basement, but she could not carry her husband, and he was not well, so he was blown away. Her grandson found him in the field. Cedar County Sheriff James McCrary walks through the wreckage that night, expecting to find bodies everywhere. He would say later that he figured they would be retrieving bodies all night long, but that was not the case, and he is thankful for that. As the tornado continues into Dallas County, eyewitnesses report something terrifying. The tornado appears to split into 2 funnels running parallel, about 1/4 mile apart. The northern funnel is 200 to 300 yards wide. Its companion stretches 100 yards across. 2 tornadoes, side by side, grinding across the Missouri countryside. That same afternoon, across the state line in Kansas, the most violent tornado of the entire outbreak touched down at 4:32 p.m. It started as an F2 near Neosho County. Strong, but not exceptional. Then, 3 miles west-southwest of Ringo, something changed. The tornado intensified dramatically. Aerial surveys would later find scouring of fields and vehicles tossed several hundred feet. This was F4 damage, with winds reaching 207 to 260 miles per hour. The tornado struck Franklin, Kansas. Population 300. About 1/3 of Franklin's 200 households were destroyed. A half-mile wide path cut through the heart of the town. Josephine Meg, 87 years old, died in her Franklin home. She had lived in Franklin most of her life, working for the Census Bureau and serving as a Democratic precinct committee woman. Her husband Joe had died less than a year earlier. Kansas Governor Kathleen Sebelius personally comforted Josephine's daughter-in-law the day after the storm. One Franklin resident returned to find his home and van simply gone. He told reporters, "It do not take long to lose everything you have got. I have never seen anything like this." In the small community of Badger, Kansas, Charles Ross, 80, and his wife Phyllis, 73, died together when their trailer was ripped from its foundation. Charles was a World War II veteran. When rescuers found them, Charles's arms were around his wife. Family friend Jerry Judy understood immediately. He probably grabbed her and tried to protect her. That is why they were found close together. He was not afraid of anything. The Kansas City metropolitan area is experiencing its most significant tornado outbreak since 1977. A single supercell is producing multiple tornadoes as it tracks across the northern suburbs. The first major tornado touched down around 3:54 p.m. near the Legends Shopping Center in Leavenworth County. It grew to 500 yards wide as it entered Kansas City, Kansas. At North 79th Street and Cernick Road, the tornado destroyed 4 150-foot-tall metal power poles. The poles were engineered to withstand winds over 200 miles per hour. This is F4 damage. An 81-year-old man was crushed by debris in Wyandotte County. He was the only direct fatality in the Kansas City metro, despite violent tornadoes crossing densely populated areas. Around 4:45 p.m., a second F4 tornado developed. It devastated the Carriage Hills subdivision in Gladstone. Charles Bodwin was watching from his window. He later recalled that he was not expecting to look out his window and see it there, but he could see it. He sheltered in his basement. When he emerged, the house behind his was leveled. Then he witnessed something incredible. A woman and her 2 children walked up out of the basement, alive. At Kansas City International Airport, all flights were halted. Passengers were evacuated into underground tunnels for 30 minutes. 33,000 customers lost power. Providence Medical Center lost power while treating 22 injured people. After 9 p.m. Central Time, as darkness falls across West Tennessee, an F4 tornado forms near Denmark and tracks toward Jackson. It is unusually warm for nighttime. Temperatures are near 80 degrees. Dew points are above 70. The heat and moisture are fueling nocturnal supercells. This tornado will kill 11 people. That is more than any other single tornado of the entire outbreak. Many of the victims die in mobile homes. Local television meteorologist Gary Pickens provided up to 40 minutes of advance warning. But the tornado's nighttime timing and the vulnerability of mobile home residents contribute to the death toll. Pickens would later reflect, "It gave everyone a fighting chance to take cover and move to safety." There was a good marriage between what the National Weather Service was putting out and what we were seeing. When the sun rises on May 5th, the death toll stands at 38. 79 confirmed tornadoes in a single day. At that time, it is the second highest single-day total in United States history. Missouri alone experienced 38 tornadoes, the highest single-day state total on record. But the outbreak is not over. It is only day 4 of 9. May 6th, 75 confirmed tornadoes. 921 severe weather warnings in a single day, the highest total since warning records began in 1986. An F4 tornado tracks 33 miles through southern Illinois, killing 2 people near Golconda. Peak winds reach an estimated 210 miles per hour. May 8th. This day will test whether Moore, Oklahoma learned anything from tragedy. 4 years earlier, May 3rd, 1999, an F5 tornado, the most powerful rating on the scale, devastated Moore. 36 people died. 583 were injured. The tornado's damage path was in places over a mile wide. Winds exceeded 300 miles per hour. It was one of the most destructive tornadoes in American history. Rick Smith, warning coordination meteorologist at the National Weather Service in Norman, had worried about this moment. He asked what it would take for people to react next time. May 3rd, 1999 was such an extreme event. If people did not see it on television an hour and a half before, if it was not an F5, would people take it seriously? At 1:35 p.m. on May 8th, a tornado watch was issued. At 2:30 p.m., the National Weather Service in Norman conducted the first ever live weather briefing broadcast through 10 NOAA weather radio stations. Tornado warnings were issued at 4:49 p.m. This was an unprecedented sequence of alerts and live coverage. At 5:10 p.m., an F4 tornado touched down on the west side of Moore. A post-event survey would find the damage track coincided exactly and precisely with the damage track from May 3rd, 1999. Some homes destroyed that afternoon had been rebuilt after 1999. Lightning striking twice. Don Staley lives on Sunrise Drive. This was his third tornado in 5 years. After surviving tornadoes in 1998 and 1999 in a bathroom, he built a safe room, a reinforced concrete shelter designed to withstand tornado winds. He said later that they did not have a safe room in 98 or 99. They rode out the tornadoes twice in the bathroom, and he said, never again. The tornado tracked 17 miles through Moore, southeastern Oklahoma City, past Tinker Air Force Base, and into Midwest City and Choctaw. It destroyed more than 300 buildings and damaged more than 1,200. It caused an estimated $100 million in damage to the General Motors assembly plant paint facility alone. Not a single person died in Moore. 0 deaths. Let that sink in. An F4 tornado, almost exactly retracing the path of the 1999 F5, destroyed hundreds of buildings. 0 deaths. The explanation lies in preparation. Moore had installed 750 safe rooms since 1999. 460 were built with FEMA subsidies. Thousands more private shelters were available. Emergency manager Galen Kitch activated sirens immediately upon the warning. Television stations provided continuous live coverage. Shannon Scott and Robert Wallace sheltered with 8 adults, 2 children, 5 dogs, and 2 cats in their safe room. Shannon's mother Ilona had built the shelter. She later said she must have had a premonition that her kids would need it. Robert watched the tornado approach before sealing the door. He described it as clear and translucent. You could see through it. It was not black like many others. When they emerged, expecting minor damage, they found devastation. They did not think it was that bad. They thought that was nothing, and then they came out and realized what had happened. City manager Stephen Eddy reflected that after 99, they had no clue what to do or what to expect, or whether they would survive. This time they knew. They knew what they had to do. They knew they would survive, and that they could rebuild even better than before. May 9th. In an extraordinarily rare occurrence, an F3 tornado strikes northwest Oklahoma City. It is the second consecutive day a significant tornado hits the metro area. With 41 minutes of warning lead time, only 10 minor injuries result. May 10th, the fourth high-risk outlook in 7 days. 49 tornadoes sweep across the Midwest. Jet stream winds exceed 120 miles per hour. Cape values reach 4,000 to 5,000 joules per kilogram. One F2 tornado tracks an incredible 89 miles from Canton, Missouri to Lima, Illinois. May 11th. 15 tornadoes mark the final day. A ridge of high pressure finally builds over the Rocky Mountains, breaking the atmospheric pattern that sustained over a week of tornado activity. When the outbreak finally ended, meteorologists and emergency managers began analyzing what had happened. The statistics were staggering. 363 confirmed tornadoes, 41 deaths, 642 injuries, $4.1 billion in damage. But here's the remarkable thing. Given the magnitude of this outbreak, the death toll was relatively low, and the credit goes to forecasting. 123 tornado and severe thunderstorm watches were issued from May 4th to May 10th. 25 of them were particularly dangerous situation watches, reserved for the most life-threatening situations. 4,050 total severe weather warnings. 1,090 tornado warnings. Average warning lead time, 19 minutes. Probability of detection, 91%. 70 of 73 tornadoes in assessed areas received advance warnings. All 39 fatalities occurred within both watch and warning boundaries. Think about what that means. Everyone who died had been warned. The warnings reached them. Some chose not to take shelter. Some were in vulnerable locations, like mobile homes. Some were simply unlucky. But they all knew it was coming. Emergency Manager D.C. Rogers of Clay County, Missouri, summarized it best. There were no surprises. Governor Brad Henry of Oklahoma credited the warnings directly. He said they did such a tremendous job of giving early warning to the residents of Oklahoma. I believe that was a major factor contributing to the fact that we had only one indirect fatality, and frankly, minimal serious injuries. 20 years later, if you drive through Pierce City, Missouri, you might not even know a tornado hit, unless you know where to look. The trees are younger on one side of town. The houses are newer, more modern. Main Street has been rebuilt, but with only a handful of original buildings remaining. Every year, on May 4th, the community holds a commemoration at 7:04 p.m., the exact time the tornado struck. Wanda Cassell, who lost her husband in Stockton, eventually found meaning in the rebuilding. She said the fact that our community held together and we rebuilt, we have done a much better job rebuilding, and I can see lots of positive things about it. In Carl Junction, where schools were so severely damaged that the final 3 weeks of the school year were canceled, the experience created lasting bonds. Tornado Recovery Task Force member Tracy Skaggs recalls that they had a slogan they put on t-shirts that said, "Before we were neighbors and now we're family." And it really did feel like a family. The May 2003 outbreak established records that still stand. 334 tornadoes in a single week, from May 4th through 10th. The most warnings in a single day were 921 on May 6th. 9 consecutive days with significant F2 or stronger tornadoes, the longest streak since 1916. 542 tornadoes in the entire month of May, the most active month in recorded history, until surpassed by April 2011. In 2023, tornado expert Thomas P. Grazoulis assigned the outbreak an outbreak intensity score of 232, making it the 5th worst tornado outbreak in recorded United States history. The Bulletin of the American Meteorological Society found only 3 other extended outbreaks in the previous 88 years that were statistically comparable. They estimated such events occur roughly every 10 to 100 years. On June 10, 2003, a letter signed by 11 members of the United States House Science Committee arrived at National Weather Service headquarters. A passage said many of your employees in the hardest hit areas literally lived in their weather offices, working long, stressful hours to issue the warnings that saved lives. The May 2003 outbreak left its mark on the landscape of the Great Plains and Midwest, in the rebuilt downtowns of Pierce City and Stockton, in the safe rooms that dot more neighborhoods, in the emergency plans refined across dozens of communities, in the memories of survivors who will never forget the sound of the wind, the sight of the sky, the moment they realized everything they owned was gone. But it also demonstrated something profound about human capability. For 9 days in May 2003, nature unleashed one of the worst tornado outbreaks in recorded history. And because forecasters saw it coming, Because they warned communities with unprecedented lead time. Because people took those warnings seriously and took shelter. Hundreds, perhaps thousands, of lives were saved. The outbreak killed 41 people. A tragedy. But given the magnitude, 363 tornadoes, including multiple violent F4 tornadoes striking populated areas, it could have been so much worse. This is the legacy of May 2003. A reminder that we can't stop tornadoes. We can't prevent them. But we can predict them. We can warn people. We can build shelters. We can prepare. And when we do those things, we save lives. 9 days when nature showed no mercy. 9 days when science, preparation, and human resilience made all the difference.